The town of Graybrook had always been shrouded in whispers and half-forgotten legends. Nestled between dense forests and jagged cliffs, it was the kind of place where outsiders felt an unshakable chill just passing through. But what truly kept the town's residents wary weren't the ghosts of the past. It was the stories of the creatures lurking in the shadows, stories that had persisted for generations, whispered behind closed doors or around flickering campfires. One such story was about the Masked Specter, a creature said to haunt the old, abandoned part of town known as Hollow Row. The rumors suggested that the Masked Specter was no ordinary ghost. It was a creature of nightmare, its face hidden behind a cracked porcelain mask that reflected no light, its eyes hollow and shining with a malevolent intelligence. But that wasn't the most unsettling part. It was the way it moved, silently, like a shadow slipping between the cracks of reality, always watching, always waiting, for a vulnerable soul to stumble across its path. 18-year-old Lily wasn't the type to believe in scary stories. She was adventurous, curious, and loved exploring the forgotten corners of Graybrook. She had grown up hearing her grandmother's tales about the Masked Specter, but she had always dismissed them as childish superstition. That is, until one rainy evening when she decided to venture into Hollow Row alone, craving a thrill she could tell her friends about. The sky was dark, thick clouds blocking out the moon, leaving the world cloaked in deep shadow. Lily clutched her flashlight tightly, the beam weak against the oppressive darkness. As she stepped onto the cracked pavement of Hollow Row, an icy wind swept through the empty street, causing her to shiver. The abandoned buildings leaned like tired soldiers, their windows boarded up or shattered. The air smelled of damp wood and decay. Her footsteps echoed softly as she moved deeper into the alleyway. The silence was oppressive, but her curiosity pushed her forward. About halfway down the street, she noticed something strange. A faint outline of a figure standing still under the broken archway. Its silhouette was tall and hunched, draped in tattered cloaks, with a mask that reflected her shaky flashlight beam, an eerie, porcelain face cracked and mottled, expressionless. Lily's heart skipped a beat. She froze as a sudden gust of wind rattled the nearby windows, making the figure's head tilt slightly, as if it had heard her. She hesitated, her rational mind fighting with a rising sense of dread. Her instinct screamed to flee, but something compelled her to stay. Something about that still, silent figure seemed vaguely familiar, yet profoundly disturbing. "Hello?" she called out, voice trembling. The figure remained unmoving. Slowly, carefully, Lily stepped closer, her footsteps crunching on broken glass and scattered debris. As she approached, she saw that the mask was cracked open around the edges, revealing glimpses of twisted, darkened skin beneath, though she told herself it was just her imagination, that it was a mask worn by someone or something else. Suddenly, the creature's head jerked toward her with unnatural speed, eyes now glowing faintly from beneath the cracks in the porcelain. Lily recoiled, her heart pounding like a drum. The creature's mask slipped slightly, revealing a glimpse of pale, rotting flesh beneath, which made her stomach churn. Before she could scream or run, it moved, a fluid, almost gliding motion that defied all logic. Lily remembered the stories about the Masked Specter, how it was said to latch onto fear, feeding off the terror of its victims. Its face was said to be a grotesque mirror of the horrors they feared most, a mask that only cracked and shifted, revealing the true nature behind its facade. Everyone knew that looking directly into the mask meant losing yourself, your mind, your soul, becoming one with the specter forever trapped in its silent, haunting gaze. Terrified, Lily stumbled backwards, clutching her camera, her only weapon against the unknown. She wanted to document this nightmare, to prove it to her skeptical friends, but as she glared at the creature, she felt her hands trembling uncontrollably. It drew closer, face unchanging, inhumanly silent. Suddenly, the creature reached out, a long, twisted hand with elongated fingers ending in dirty, broken nails. Lily felt a cold, penetrating force seep into her mind, as if the creature was trying to reach into her very thoughts. Visions flooded her. Twisted faces, endless shadows, the sense of being watched by innumerable unseen eyes. Her breathing hitched, and she wanted to scream, but her voice was caught in her throat. The creature's mask seemed to pulse, cracks widening, the porcelain breaking apart to reveal something far darker. In that instant, Lily saw her own reflection in its hollow eyes. A fractured version of herself, eyes wide with terror but somehow also laced with curiosity and a perverse desire to understand. In a desperate rush, Lily turned and bolted, her footsteps pounding against cobbles and debris as she sprinted toward the safety of the town's center. Behind her, she heard a dragging sound, then silence. When she finally reached her house, breathless and trembling, she locked the door tight, clutching her camera to her chest, her mind racing. The next morning, she examined her photos. There was nothing, no monster, no shadowy figure, only an empty street bathed in dawn's soft light. She told herself it had been her imagination, the effects of fear and the storm. But deep down, Lily knew better. That creature, whatever it was, had seen her and had marked her in some invisible, terrible way. Days later, strange things began happening. Whispers echoed in her mind when she was alone. Shadow figures flickered just at the edge of her vision, and she noticed her reflection flickering like a broken mirror. And sometimes, when she looked in the mirror, she caught a glimpse of the cracked porcelain mask behind her own eyes, an unblinking stare that reminded her she was no longer alone. The Masked Specter had found her, and it was waiting, silent and patient, coiled just beneath the surface of her reality, ready to claim her when fear finally broke her entirely. Lily's friends noticed her growing pallor, her haunted eyes, and her constant flicker of glances over her shoulder. But she knew the truth. Some stories are best left uninvoked, and some shadows refuse to be dispelled. The creature in Hollow Row hadn't been just a legend, it was a reflection of the darkness lurking in the corners of every mind. An eternal reminder that some masks hide horrors best left unseen, and that once you see beyond, you can never quite look away again.